change this a bit.
I'm Julian, and I'm here with Mr. Bonde from
Yeah,
Denmark.
yeah. Hello, guys.
Hey, so as far as I know, before we proceed, we will do some really. I can't say it now because everybody is gonna do the thing I want them to do. We are gonna do something amazing. As you know, we are sponsored by Card Hoarder and Living Card Games and Matt Pavlik, and as part of that, we Oh, actually, I didn't hear it. As part of that, we are gonna do a raffle now. So what you can win is you can win 10 bot credits on Met. No, actually, no, that's the second raffle. The first raffle is you can win a T-shirt or a playmat or a T-shirt. So basically, we have two different T-shirts, a white one and a black one, and a playmat. And if you do win, you can choose either one of them and get 100 cards for Hoarder Sleeps on top. So right now, just type $, and card order in the chat, and that way you will get to sign up for it. I don't know. We will probably just keep it running for a minute or so, and then pick a winner.
And remember, it's a $sign, not an exclamation mark.
Yeah. But people are getting it perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So which one would you choose, Michael?
Like when I was in the US, I saw the playmat, and the playmat is actually pretty cool. So I would go with the playmat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our last week's winner also chose the playmat.
Yeah,
and I think I might also go with it, even though I kind of really like the artwork on the white chart. So we will see.
We will see. Let's see. I can see Pablo Gat is asking for if any more games is coming up, and we have a game for you. And we actually have a lot of games. I think there's additional 4. So this one and 3 more. And we have John Johnson here with his Buck Omnitel.
Yeah, it used to be Buck, but since Dividing Top got banned, he now removed the green part, and it's now straight up blue-black Omnitel.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I was supposed to play against him, so I didn't see that he removed the green. But yeah, I can definitely see that he removed the replicase. It looks like. Yeah. So this is like a combo deck where you show and tell in an Emrakul or show and tell in the Omniscience, and then you go crazy with Emrakul or a lot of card draw. So it's kind of. It's straightforward, even though it's black. But back when you could play Dig for Time, this was actually also like you played Grixis versions, and you could play like this version in the mirror because the Lim Duels Vault and the Fotsis are pretty good against like opponents' combo deck as well.
Yeah, this version is really, really straightforward.
Yeah.
I also really like the 4 Thought Seizers. Like he really, really wants to push his combo through.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's also like got a pretty straightforward sideboard approach. He's got 3 more Flusterstorms should he need additional protection or ways to interact with his opponent, and the rest is pretty much just Cunning Wish choices. But yeah. May I interrupt you for a second? We have to still pick a winner, and I'm gonna roll the dice now, the digital dice, and we will pick a winner, and he or she will be announced in chat. So you got like 3 more seconds to participate until I'm gonna roll for the winner, and it's gonna be David L. Bayer. Congratulations, man.
Congratulations.
So basically, the way this works is you send me a message on Twitch, or basically on Twitch, and just let me know which one of our sweet items you want to pick, and we will get everything shipped to you once you provide your physical address.
And we're actually off in the match now. So both players, Tim kept at a 7, and John was unfortunate to mulligan down to 6, but he actually has like an okay hand, depending on what the ponder hits here.
So what is he? I guess he's looking for Soul Land, like Ancient Tomb or City of Traders.
Yeah. I don't think when you have a ponder, show and tell and Emrakul, I don't think you can really you can mulligan down to 5 because you have the scry. So I think he's just digging for a land here. Any land kind of does the trick.
Yeah. Do you agree with leading with Preordain instead of Ponder when looking for the land?
Yes, I actually do, because if you play the Ponder here, and you have like a non-fetch land, you have to kind of keep it on top. But if you do a Preordain, you can put the 2 cards on bottom and still draw a card, or you can keep the land on top and the other card on the bottom.
Yeah.
So you don't like yeah, how do you say, ponder lock yourself? Like you can brainstorm lock yourself.
Yeah.
So I would definitely go the same route of preordaining first here.
Yeah.
But he didn't find it, unfortunately. So
yeah. On the other hand, Tim doesn't also really have a lot of interaction here. Do you think he's gonna run out True Name Nemesis, or is he gonna try to find some sort of counter magic? Because if you like, this is probably the best point to run out True Name Nemesis, because you're not getting really any better odds to like get there with it, and I don't think that Deathwatch Shaman alone is gonna get you there.
No, but I actually think that Tim is playing like Spell Pierce main, and he's playing Forcer Walls. So I think he really wants to dig for answers here, because True Nemesis is like, if you activate Deathwatch Shaman each turn, it is a 4-turn clock. But I think John can definitely like fight back in 4 turns. So I don't think True Nemesis does the trick right here when he has double Brainstorm.
Did Tim just Brainstorm lock himself? I think he didn't find another land, did he?
No. He put back Jace and can't remember what the other card was, but yeah. But he's gonna draw an additional card now, and then he can Brainstorm again if he wants to, and then he has Snapcaster Brainstorm again. And fortunate for Tim, there's no Leovold to hit his Brainstorms this game. Over the last game for his opponent. So here he got the Swamp. And let's see if he wants to shuffle.
I think he's gonna keep it, yeah. The Swamp also enables the Thought Season. He knows that Tim doesn't play Days, so you can take away Snapcaster Mage, I guess.
Maybe he's gonna play Brainstorm here. That would make sense. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was something cut off on my screen. I didn't see that. Yeah, of course.
So there's still no. Yeah, this is kind of hard. So I think next turn he needs to cycle away the Unearth if he wants to.
Yeah, you either cycle away the Unearth or you end of turn Snapcaster Mage, like Ambush Viper it into play just to increase your clock.
Yeah, you could do as well, but there's no more lands in the graveyard. Yeah. So yeah, you
would basically just draw a card and pass the turn and hope that John would think that you hit Force of Will on top.
Yeah.
So basically, at this point, if you cycle Unearth next turn, I guess you could cycle it at end of turn, so you would conceal the information. On the other hand, if you do cycle at end of turn,
yeah, it's always
both players are kind of in a pickle here. They are not really doing much. Fortunately for John, he still has the Preordain to go find another land.
Yeah, so I actually think John he's somewhat ahead here, because we know that Tim needs to find a land to actually do something. Because there's not even a land in the graveyard, so he only has 2 lands at his availability. So let's see. He's probably just gonna pass here.
Yeah.
It would be weird to like main face Snapcaster, and he knows what the card on top is, so he's not gonna main face cycle here either.
Yeah.
So the good thing for Tim here is that nothing can really, if he draws a Soul Land, but we know what the 2 cards are, so we know that nothing is gonna happen here. But maybe Preordain can help on that account.
Another show and tell. At this point, like if Tim can't present a real clock, John will eventually just start casting show and tells into counter magic that is yet to be found, and eventually he'll just get there, because Tim also doesn't really have like anything in his hand that he can put in to stop John's combo. Like John is not playing Grizzlebrand. You can't put in like Leovold and kind of reduce it to a 7/7 lifelinking flyer. So, yeah.
So actually, something nice happened here. John is he's a patient guy because he put a brainstorm on the bottom to actually try and dig for the underground sea. And then he actually drew the underground sea that he could play, but because of the wasteland and the Death Shaman, he kept it in hand so he can play show until next turn.
Sense getting a bit awkward, but would you go for it here?
Yes, when you have double show until, I don't see a scenario where you don't go for it. Because you need to hard draw a Force of Will for the hand to be better, and you only have 4 in your deck. I think you just go for it and hope for the best.
Yeah, and as far as we know, it's gonna work out for him.
Yeah, this time it's actually for the best. He's gonna put in Snapcaster Mage and then try and brainstorm to see if he can get himself out of this pickle. But I actually think this is kind of a game.
Yeah. I mean, it's cute that he has the comes into play trigger, so John can't cast Emrakul right away. And
Yeah.
if he had Pyroblast in the main deck, he could then Wasteland himself and use the red mana to kill the Omniscience. But yeah. that's that's not gonna happen here. That's not what we see. And Emrakul takes the game.
But now we have Mrs. Spaghetti.
Mrs. Spaghetti, yeah, true. She's female. At least according to lore. But I've seen people discuss that, but I guess if that's the case. It's sometimes interesting when you look at the way they translate cards. Like I recently talked about Heritage Druid or Nettle Sentinel. Like you can't tell whether they are male or female by the name, but in other languages like German, they actually have a female translation. So like if you couldn't already tell from looking at it, yeah. So how's the matchup gonna change? I think Tim gets to take out a lot of useless creature removal, like his definitely Fatal Pushes. Yeah. And also Kolaghan's Command, I don't know, it's like 3 mana discard a card. It's kind of on the slow side. Like if you need additional sideboard card, or if you don't have enough sideboard cards, you will keep it. But overall, I'm not thrilled.
Yeah. So I actually think that this was a really bad draw for Tim, considering he double brainstorm. Did he triple? No, I think he double brainstorm and didn't get like his third land, so that's unfortunate. But I actually think that both players' sideboards are decent for the matchup, which is good for game 2 and potentially game 3.
Yeah.
John doesn't have like that much of a wiggle room because his deck is kind of 4-offs, but he has like the Toxic Deluge and he shaves a Limb Dual-Swald.
Yeah. I think one of the best ways for Tim to take this game is to hopefully get a turn to Leovold and then blank like half of John's deck. And that way grind him out in a way, like which ways does John have to remove the Leovold? He's got the Toxic Deluge, and then he can Cunning Wish for Wipe Away, I guess, which is kind of slow.
Yeah. But this is also how, when I usually play against these Omnitel decks, this is how I win with Mono White. It's simply just play Italia and try and blank most of the card drawing spells and try to negate the mana. Let's see. He's so he's taking in the Surgical Extraction to beat the Snapcasters and maybe like to be cute around Death Shaman. And he took out some Lotus Petals. So it seems like he wants to be less explosive but more consistent. Yeah, but this is also the problem with when you don't have this wiggle room. You need to like cut off some of the explosiveness or some of the card drawing. And here he took like 2/1, 2 Lotus Petals and 1 Limb Dual-Swald.
Yeah, I think John can afford to play a little bit of a longer game, except for Leovold, which is like a huge issue. And I think he also only he can Thoughtseize it away, but that's not always going to work against Flusterstorm, Spellpierce, Brainstorm. And other than that, he can Force of Will it, but depending on your hand, you might not even want to. You might keep the Force of Will to protect your combo if you already have it. But if Tim really goes for a turn to Leovold, which of course he's only playing 2 copies, but there might be a chance. John could be in a weird spot where he needs to pitch something to Force of Will he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
And yeah, John, it does a hand that relies heavily on his top deck.
Yeah, I think he needs to mulligan this hand. I can also see he could keep it because you have the Force of Will, but even though if you draw the show and tell, it doesn't really do anything. So I think it's really risky to keep the hand.
Yeah, but this hand really wants to draw as a brainstorm.
Yeah, it will be really good with drawing a brainstorm though.
So he just needs to draw a brainstorm now.
Yeah.
That we should message him. So about Tim's hand, I think that's a keep. You got early interaction and spell pierce, and if need be, also force. And eventually we will be looking to shuffle away a couple of his lands and find something. Like he really eventually needs to find something. And we see John mulliganing this, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this hand is much better.
Yeah, yes, it's very good. I think Tim's hand is somewhat a perfect hand in game 2. It could have a Death Ray Shaman, which was better, but here you fight the turn 1 Foxies if John goes for it, or the turn 1 Ponder, or with the Spell Pierce, and you have like the Force back up, and you can protect yourself later with Brainstorm and shuffle away the land. So I don't think you get a better hand than what he got there.
Yeah, especially on 6.
And I can see here Mr. Bert Reynolds. He says black and show and tell. Yeah, so John made I don't know if he made it, but he played it a buck list with green as well for the Miracle heavy meta. But now when it's banned and we got to resubmit our deck lists, he cut the green and he's playing Limb Duel's Vault Omnitel, and it's a sweet deck. For sure.
Yeah, the list kind of originates from the time when Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time was illegal, and everyone was playing blue-red Omnitel. Yeah. And I know that Mike, Overvoltage in chat, he was playing blue-black Omnitel, and I think John picked up on that idea. But he's unfortunately not playing the sweetest card that Mike used to play back then, which is Word of Command, which is known for having the cheapest artwork in all of Magic, I guess.
It's the 2 eyes in the black background or something like that.
Yeah, right? Exactly. It's an instant 2 black, and you can make an opponent play a card the way you want them to play it. So basically, you make them, like in the mirror, you make them play show and tell, and make them not put in anything, whereas you put in something. Well, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it is pretty sweet.
So Tim is just sitting there, like, making his hand better and better, improving the quality. Eventually, I don't know, as long as he's not presenting anything that creates recurring card advantage, like Chase, or, okay, that's Chase, but he's probably not going to tap out for Chase anytime soon.
it would be kind of aggressive.
Yeah. But once he does, like, eventually John will have to make a move. And do you think he's going to end of turn Limb to Sport here to find the show and tell?
I think he's gonna cast a Limb Duel's Vault, and probably for show and tell, yes. And then if you draw Omniscience, you can go with Ancient Tomb, try to Forces. If he counters the show and tell, you Flusterstorm, and then you have the backup for 2 counter spells here. But as you said before, like, Tim is building his hand, but he's not really applying any pressure as of now. So John is also trying to build up the best potential hand. So if he doesn't draw anything here on the top, he can just fire off Thoughtseize and then have Flusterstorm for later.
Do you know how many spell pierces Tim is playing? Because that's public information, so John should know that. Because if he's playing a couple of spell pierces, I might actually hold back on Limb to Sport.
Yeah. But I think in this spot, when there's no pressure, I can see that it could be fine to just take away the spell pierce.
Yeah.
Because you could have you could have Force and show and tell, so maybe Tim is just gonna let it resolve.
It's also a pretty sweet spot because Tim only has 2 mana up at this point.
Yeah, so if he so he needs to like Force a Will the next spell. So I think he's just gonna make it resolve here, or let it resolve, not make it resolve.
Depending on what he's looking for, this might take a while. So basically, for the people who don't know this card, Limitless Vault lets you look at the top 5 cards of your library, and if you don't like them, you can put them on the bottom, pay a life, and look at the next 5. And you can keep doing that until you find like your perfect 5 or run out of life. And that way you get to stack like the top couple of your cards. And that's also why John fetched first before he cast Limb to Sport, because he didn't like he can create like a pretty sweet stack of 5 cards, and he doesn't want to shuffle the rest of them away in case it comes to a point where the game continues after the next turn.
So I have never seen this resolve on Magic Online.
I used to play it, but that was like, a very long time ago, and they probably changed the way it resolves now.
Yeah, hopefully. So I don't know what's going on right now. It's on his deck, and there's a Pulu Delta. Oh, he actually okay.
Okay, that's an aggressive spell piece.
Yeah,
but since
this is
he's got so much stuff, yeah.
I think if I was John now, I would just okay. I don't know how important that is. I haven't. That's a lot of storm just randomly. Yeah. So John really wants this to resolve. So there must be like he must be able to scope or to build up like a really good.
Yeah, what he can
like
also do is like if he creates something really sweet, he can also like brainstorm into that, but he doesn't really have enough cards in hand to get any value out of that. Okay, they are fighting hard about this.
Yeah. So both players must know that if that one resolves, it's somewhat of a deal breaker.
And if he finds that's pretty harsh. He neither found a fetch land nor the card he was looking for. So I guess you can still safely Thoughtseize here if you want.
What would you take if you Thoughtseize your opponent?
Like Tim still knows the top card, which I think is Chase, or maybe Chase is second from the top. But it's really hard. If you want to play the grindy game, you're never taking the Force of Will there, so you would probably take the counter spell. And then you just hope because then you only need to find another protection spell. And Tim can't use the Brainstorm unless he wants to risk something, but then he needs to find a bad card that he wants to shuffle away anyway. So yeah, basically, if you want to play the grind game, and your hand probably has to because you're drawing dead for the next 2 turns, you would either take the counter spell, or you wouldn't play the Thoughtseize in the first place.
I think that's a good point. You could also Thoughtseize yourself and throw away Emrakul.
Yeah. So you found the secret shuffle effect that he actually had. I might have actually missed that.
But I don't think it's it's a good it's not a good play. If it was a good play, John would have found it.
I mean, somewhere in some place that might have actually been the winning play, but not in this game.
Not in this game. But it seems unfortunate here that he's actually gonna apply some pressure. Because we know that John is somewhat locked, so he needs to fire off the Brainstorm here.
Yeah.
So let's see if he can. But there's actually a show and tell, and there's a Flusterstorm. So this is looking great for.
Yeah.
I actually think he gets to resolve the Emrakul now, right?
Yeah. Tim has 2 protection spells, but he has the discard.
Yeah,
and the Flusterstorm. Yeah, that should do it.
So I think we are gonna see a swift game here.
Or actually, isn't Chase still on top of the library? If Tim used to have a Chase at some point, and if he didn't shuffle that one away, then he can next turn go Chase, bounce Emrakul.
That is true. I completely forgot about that. Well, then, so if that is true, then John is in a really tough spot here.
Yeah, but he still has to go for it. It's just unfortunate.
Yeah. That's how it is. That's why you play the Ace. It's a good magic card.
They should have given Emrakul haste.
It has haste if you play Omniscience or pseudo haste.
Yeah.
So Perry Andre Prost, he said he shuffled Jace though, right? But I don't think I can see maybe he shuffled to get a land so that he could cast Spell Pierce. Well, we will see in a couple of seconds at least. And even though he shuffled it away, there's still the chance that he can draw the Edict that he plays, and he can draw. I don't know if he boarded in Toxic Deluge. He probably didn't, but he has the Edict and the 1 or 2 Jaces.
And he's exactly on 16, so he could do it.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's
But he
got a
also,
couple of outs.
yeah. So let's
Also, any
see.
cantrip.
The Die Shepherd says that he shuffled twice. So
Oh, too bad. And the Color Guns command isn't going to do
yeah,
anything for
so I
him.
think this is probably game. So this is why the Omnitel is a strong deck. It just all of a sudden there's a spaghetti on the board, and then people just lose.
Tim is still holding on to this game. He's like, yeah, maybe I can. Yeah, he can't even pretend that he has the addict now because he would have played the addict before John draws a card.
But yeah, as the chat says right now, he both had Jace and Edict that he shuffled away. So
oh wow,
yeah,
I think you can't do that because this John's deck is very all in on either having Emrakul or Omniscience, and like at least leaving yourself one out to this in case John really like there's a 50% chance roundabout that John has to go for the naked Emrakul, as I want to call it, and I think he's not gaining anything from shuffling those away because he already had like a decent amount of counter magic.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, I think it's hard because it's like a dance. You get a lot of counter spells and you get a lot of you have a lot of pressure, and eventually reactive, proactive spells like if he never draws the Emrakul, then your Diabolic Edict becomes worse, and if the other way around, if he draws it, then it's like the best card in the deck. So I think it's a call, and then unfortunately it was the worst call with the worst possible outcome. So
yeah, it's
unfortunate, but
like it's as you mentioned, it's unfortunate. It's like not like really a big punt or something.
No.
It's just I think from a strategic point of view, I would have approached it in a different way. But of course, I can see both hands, and that, I hear that helps a lot playing the match. But,
I think I would have. I don't know the matchup as much as they do, so I probably would have not fought as well or as much over the Limdul's Vault. But both players played like pretty much all their spells for it to resolve, or like the opposite. So I think they both like realized that it's an important card for the matchup. So yeah, what do I know?
Limdul's Vault is interesting in the way that it's card disadvantage. So if you're playing this super, I can't really call it grindy, but it's like much less explosive matchup. It's really you keep stockpiling your counter magic, and eventually there's this big fight that we saw here. And I think in such a matchup, you don't really want to counter something like basically it's like a mystical tutor. Like it gets you a great card, but it's also card disadvantage. On the other hand, and I think that's what Tim had in mind when he countered it, it also like usually gets you another really decent card on top of that because it always looks at stacks of 5. So it's a tough call, and had John not had that really, really good brainstorm, then it would have worked out quite well for Tim.
Yeah. And people in the chat are really nice towards us and saying that not many people know the Limdul Vault matchup. So thank you very much for having our back. Well, Julian, it was a pleasure.
It was my pleasure, Michael.
As always, and I'm looking forward to playing you in the finals in a couple of weeks.
In an epic best of 5 between, I don't even know which decks I would choose, but yeah, that's gonna be really, really sweet. See you there.
Yeah. So